hold on. Let's do it. 3, 2. Hello, my good friends, and welcome to another episode, episode 5 of Blabbing About Boba, with me, your host, Thaddeus. To my stage right, or to my right, is the Nev. How are you, the Nev?
Hello, Governor. Yeah, I'm good. Excellent, yeah, it's all good. All good in the hood.
I have been looking forward to this episode.
I bet you have.
Yeah. Let me. Here we are live. Boom. I gotta send this out to my Discord peeps. I've been looking forward to this for a week.
A week.
A hot minute.
Yeah.
A hot week.
Tonight. How many times have you watched the episode?
Once.
Yeah, me too. Just the once.
Now here's the
one
thing.
And done.
I wanted to watch it more. I was gonna watch it a second or a third time this week. Actually, I was gonna watch it a second or third time today, but I ended up watching Thor: Dark World with my daughter.
You watched the Thor. You watched Thor 2, did you?
Thor 2, and instead of
Thor 2.
You know, and I haven't seen Thor 2 in years. Like, it's been a long time. And
another good movie for a British bad guy.
Yeah.
The Dark Elf, Christopher Eccleston. If you want a bad guy, you go British.
No, I agree. You Brits make great bad guys.
Oh, yeah, we make very good
my goodness. Great bad guys. But I gotta say, like, it was I've wanted to spend a little bit of time. I want to rewatch it. But it was one of those things where it's just like I couldn't do it because I felt like if I started to rewatch it, it might actually take it down a peg for me. Tonight, before we move on, our good friend, our co-host for this show, is in Ohio. He is with family tonight. And let's just face it, he's gone because he was sending some inappropriate memes, and we were afraid that he would share.
We had to cancel him.
Yeah.
We had to cancel him because he was posting inappropriate memes.
Yeah.
So,
and we just said, we're like, Paul, we love you, but you've got to sit a week out because this isn't appropriate, right?
Absolutely.
He will be back with us next week to discuss episode 6, which is the episode co-written by Dave Filoni. And I'll be excited for that. Episode 6 obviously comes out tomorrow. Now, episode 5 was called Return of the Mandalorian. Now,
I wonder why.
I was a little curious about that myself. I started off when I was watching this, and I was like, "Oh, cool!" Because let's face it, I loved episode 4. I thought it was great, but at the very end of the episode, we had that little moment where Fenneck Shand is like, "Boba, how much money is in the coffers?" Because money can buy muscle. And we hear the music. We hear the Mandalorian music, right? It wasn't the full theme song, but it was like close enough, that we knew Mando would be coming, right? This episode is either the most brilliantly done Easter egg or incredibly strange. Because in the 5th episode of in the 5th episode of the Book of Boba Fett, we don't actually get Boba Fett at all.
No, we don't.
The man does not show up even once. It was weird.
You know what it reminded me of? It reminded me of that episode of The Bad Batch that didn't have the Bad Batch in it, except for a cameo. So, like, the Bad Batch had a cameo in their own episode, and it was all about, Hera as a kid.
Yeah.
It was with Omega, wasn't it?
I believe so.
Yeah. So, the whole show was about other people, and then the Bad Batch had a cameo in their own. It's like, because we were critical of that episode of the Bad Batch as well. It's like,
what happened? Yeah, it was.
What happened?
It was weird. It was really, really weird.
Yeah, it was weird.
So let's see here. How does this start off? Nev, do you want to run the countdown for us? How it actually played out?
Okay, so it starts with the Mandalorian, and he's doing Mandalorian things.
Yes.
And he's doing his job. Like I said, he's doing Mandalorian things. He's out on a hunt. Collecting on a bounty.
Hold on there, Nev. Hold on. Well, let me stop you, because I gotta say, you know how I do. It would not be.
Will you? Oh, you and your technical bloody difficulties.
Yeah, I gotta get him out of the way first, right? Okay, blabbing about Boba. Got a transition.
Yes, Bones. Now everyone's been cancelled.
Yeah, everyone, but it's the curse of Paul. What the bloody hell? Hold on.
If it's black, that means you need to alter the settings for the window capture.
Cancel. I hit a button.
I thought you said everything was fine.
Everything was fine. I hit a button.
Don't hit buttons.
Well, I don't mean to hit buttons. Zoom. Window. There we are. Hold on. Sorry.
Okay.
It's Paul. He's reaching out to us from. There we are. Boo! Oh, son of a. Hold on. Blabbing about Boba. And we're back.
Oh,
we're
wow.
back.
Now we're full screen.
We're full screen. No. I got it. We are fine now. It's going to take about 20 seconds, to not be crazy. Okay, but we're back. We're back. Okay.
So
we got the technical difficulties out of the way.
So episode 5 of the Book of Boba, and it starts on the Mandalorian, and the Mandalorian's doing Mandalorian things. He's out and about. He's doing his bounty hunter thing for the Bounty Hunter Guild.
He's either going to bring him in cold or warm.
And he had to get the line in. I can bring you in warm, or I can bring you in cold. Yeah. And the bad guy opted for cold.
Yeah.
So
it happens.
Mando gets his he gets his bounty hunter, he gets his killing on. Yeah. And absolutely starts hammering people. And in the process injures himself with his own weapon.
Okay.
I mean, oh my God.
Now I gotta say, I love Din Djarin. I love Boba Fett. And I'm mad props. I mean, Din Djarin's is a great bounty hunter. But his head's not in the game, right? His lucky.
He was kicking ass.
He was. He was. But let's face it, he was playing with scissors, and they weren't safety scissors, and he cut himself. Right?
Yeah.
He cut himself.
Yeah, but he cut himself. Not. It wasn't his fault that he cut himself.
Well,
It was the writer's fault that he cut himself.
Well, no, yeah, that's true. I mean, the writers made.
No, it was the writers. It was the writer's fault
himself.
that he cut himself because they introduced he was being for some strange, weird, unusual reason he was being sloppy with the Darksaber. You know, it seemed heavy for some reason. You know, I mean, forget that it wasn't heavy for every other individual person in the Star Wars universe that has wielded said Darksaber, but for some strange reason, it was being weird with him this time.
So one of the biggest things about this episode, and we'll get to it here in a minute, but there is a ton of lore introduced for not just the Darksaber, but like all of Mandalore. Right? We got a lot of information about the past. We got a lot of information about a number of different characters. Bones hits it up in the chat, and he's like, Sabine Wren is mentioned, not by name officially, but like, you know, she's brought up, but she's brought up as the person who gives Bo-Katan the saber. So there's a lot of lore that goes on.
Yeah, hang on. No. Hang on. Whoa. The Sabine mention of it being heavy was metaphorical, not physical. Because when she wielded it, she wielded it flawlessly.
Okay. She did.
She mentions it being heavy. I don't believe that was in the physical sense. I believe that was in the metaphorical sense. You know, the responsibility of wielding the Darksaber was heavy,
which makes
not
sense.
That it was heavy, because when you see her using it in a duel, she's fine with it. When she was training with it, she was fine with it. So every time you see her wielding it, I mean, and let's not forget, we're talking about a very svet teenage girl. All right?
Yeah.
Not some relatively robust, strong, middle-aged dude. Okay?
So I gotta say that
use your words, Thaddeus.
I know. Sorry. During the fight scene, though, even though, yes, he does cut himself with his own blade, and who amongst us hasn't been there, right? He's still whooping A with the...
Oh, God. I mean, he cut that dude in half and went through the table. I mean, that was, like, without a doubt, one of the most brutal takedowns I think I have ever... That is the single most brutal takedown I think I have ever seen. I mean, even when you remember when even when Boba was kicking ass in season 2 of The Mandalorian with his gaffy stick, he was like, you know, hitting armor, you know, when he was whacking the stormtroopers in the head. They had like helmets on, so you weren't seeing like, you know,
blood and viscera.
You know what I mean? It was brutal, but it wasn't as brutal. But when he cut this guy in half,
this opening scene was violent.
And then he walks out with the head.
Yeah.
So, you know, it's like, you know, we're talking Deadpool levels of R-ratedness.
Oh, yeah. No, absolutely.
Because just that scene alone, in my humble opinion, was enough to make this an R-rated episode.
Oh my gosh, yes. Like this was intense, right? This was intense on a level that I was kind of not prepared for, right? Because we've seen violence, we've seen fighting so far, nothing like this in the first 5 episodes. In my mind.
No, nothing this brutal. No.
Yeah. So I was really impressed by this fight. Now again, he points out, he's like, look, I've got no beef with you, right? I'm I'm honor bound, right? But I'll take you guys all on if you want. But there's a bunch of credits in the back room that I've got no claim to. You want them, they're yours. Just let me pass, right? I love that. You know, like Boba or Din's not going to go around killing people he doesn't have to. There's a level of pride, a level of I don't know, honor in his job, right?
That, and you know, the last thing he wants to happen is to get cancelled by the Bounty Hunter Code, by the Bounty Hunter Guild, for simply killing. I mean, let's be honest. You know, these are working class grunts. They're just working in a kitchen. You know, can you imagine the PR hell that the Bounty Hunter Guild would have gone through if that had made it onto the HoloNet? You know, you can just picture the headline on the HoloNet now. You know, bounty hunter from the Bounty Hunter Guild slays kitchen staff.
Yeah, like this is a huge.
That wouldn't have gone down.
No,
it wouldn't have gone down well.
It would have been terrible.
Would have been terrible.
Right? I mean,
but instead, it's hey, there's some money in the back room there. Go nuts, everybody.
Yeah,
you know,
go nuts. Yeah.
Turns into bounty hunter liberates. You know, poor working class kitchen staff.
Yeah, and it's great. Yeah, it's
from
a great
evil
moment.
Capitalist pigs.
Yeah, literally, pig dogs, right?
Pig dogs.
Pig dogs. Which makes me think of Hot Shots Part 2, when he's like, "Oh, you capitalist pig dog," right? And it's Saddam Hussein. It's a wonderful, great episode. If you've never seen Hot Shots Part 2, it's what's that one guy actors? Not Tom Hanks. Anyways,
Hot Shots Part 2 was Charlie Sheen. You know,
Charlie Sheen. Yeah, that's the guy. That's who I'm thinking of, right?
Tiger Blood.
Yeah, Tiger Blood.
Winning. I still have the Charlie Sheen winning T-shirt.
Do you? That's nice. So here's the thing. Like, he goes. Like, I gotta say, what I am enjoying so far about the Book of Boba Fett, and what I am enjoying about these shows so far, is they are absolutely bringing me into the Star Wars universe, right? This must be what it's like to be a Star Trek fan in the height of Star Trek television. You know, like showing up weekly to a new episode, a new part of the galaxy, with new people, with aliens galore, and it's a story, right? Probably like Star Trek fans, they weren't all winners, but it's really cool to see the different species of aliens that they're including. Boba walks up and he's like, hey, you know, he walks to this other place where his bounty, you know, where he's turning in his bounty, and he's like, hey, give me the information, and here's the head. And they're like, no, come sit down with us, have a drink. He's like, no, I don't want a freaking drink. I want the information. Take the head. And finally he's about to walk out. And they're like, look, we'll give you the information. And it doesn't like tell us right off the bat who he's looking for, right?
No.
But again, he leaves. He walks off. I love that he's getting like sideways glances by everyone, because they're like, what's this Mando doing, walking around bleeding on everything? Like I'd be a little freaked out too, you know, like if I were in the Old West and I saw like a cowboy, you know, like a ruffian cowboy, like, I don't know, walking through town with a bullet in his leg. I'd be like, I'm going to walk away from you now. I'm going to get on a different elevator. But he gets the information, goes to this planet, or he goes to a subsection of the ring that he's on. It's not a planet.
Yeah, no, I did a little bit of research on this. It's called a Niven ring.
Yeah.
So it's called a Niven ring. So, for those of you that want to know what this ring is, there's a podcast. God, what is that? Oh, it's a podcast that I listen to on a regular basis, because It's for let's be honest, it's for science and astronomy nerds, and I was an astronomy nerd when I was in school, so I'm still an astronomy nerd now.
Some habits die hard.
And I'm going to bring up the it's Godier. I'm gonna find out. I'm gonna bring you talk, and I'll bring up the find the podcast where Event Horizon. The YouTube channel is called Event Horizon. And they recently did a he did a post.
Mm-hmm.
He did a post recently where he talked about exactly that. He talked about a Niven ring in Star Wars.
Yeah.
So let's bring up what a Niven ring is, so I can give you the exact definition. So, ring. It's basically a ring world, by Larry Niven, hence the ring, and basically it's a rotating wheel artificial world.
Yeah.
And that's it. And there is a star at the center of it.
Yeah.
And if you have a look, if you for anybody out there, if you want to Google the image of Ringworld by Larry Niven, you will actually see the exact image of what it is, all the way down to the light and the light areas and the shadow areas on said ring.
Yeah.
You're thinking of it in two ways. They've either ripped off Larry Niven's Ringworld, or they're paying homage.
I think it's
Larry
homage.
Niven's
I think what they're.
And it's a 1970 science fiction novel.
Yeah, I think it's homage because if what's that one with all right, Matthew McConaughey. What's the one where he's traveling through space and I totally spaced it, but it's like he travels through space and eventually he meets up with like the human race after going through a black hole. It's the same concept. It's a circular area that it's in the Halo game too. The idea is by spinning in a circle, it creates an artificial gravity that allows people to kind of like intergalactic. Thank you.
Interstellar.
That's the one. Interstellar, right? Intergalactic is the song by the Beastie Boys. And so he goes and Interstellar. Yeah, he ends up meeting with Paz Vizsla.
This is a major tangent alert here, and I don't think Interstellar is a good analogy for what we're watching in the book.
No, and it probably isn't. But I mean, it's what I'm saying. The reason I say Interstellar is it's not a. I don't think it's a ripoff, right? It's something that science fiction uses as, like there's science fiction and there's science fact, right? There's things that like we as a human race would do if we were a spacefaring people. And the Niven Ring is an example of that. And so seeing it necessarily in the Book of Boba Fett doesn't, to me, stand out as, it's plagiarism of a sort. I think it's just like, this is the way that they would have done it had we been given the opportunity and had, it's not shocking is my point, right? Now, he meets up with the armorer and Paz Vizsla, and I gotta say, one of the things that's hilarious is as they walk, as we walk in, as he's like, "Hey, what's going on?" And he sees her, and she's kneeling down, meditating, or I don't know. She's in that position a lot, which makes me wonder, what is she doing?
Emily Swallow.
Oh, I know, but like what is it that she's absolutely doing? And like part of me feels like it's meditating or I don't know. Like if she were force sensitive, it would be she's connecting with the force, right? But probably not is my thought. And I just feel like she's I don't know, the whatever the Mandalorians consider the Force, like just harnessing herself. And then she's like, "What weapon did you use to cut yourself with? You know, were you running with scissors again, Din Djarin? You know, and he's like, I cut myself with this. Da-da! And he holds up the dark saber. Right? Now, one of the things that's absolutely fascinating is the armorer, whose official name we don't know yet. Officially, she's just the armorer. She's the leader of the Children of the Watch. You know, she's the leader of the remaining Mandalorians who are stationed on, I believe it was Concord Dawn, but it's Concordia, the planet, one of the moons of Concordia, which I believe is where Concord Dawn was, right? She gives us all of this backstory about the Night of 1,000 Tears, the Darksaber itself. She gives us a ton of information about the Death Watch. She doesn't say Maul precisely, but she introduces a curse. Right?
What are you? Are you talking about the same episode we? What
are
you talking about?
Oh my gosh! Did you not catch that? So
catch what?
Everything, Nev. Everything. So
clearly, this episode wasn't gripping me enough.
No, clearly,
because what are you talking about?
All right, so let me bring it up real quick. So he's sitting there, Paz Vizsla, played by the incomparable Jon Favreau.
Jon Favreau.
Love the fact that he's still in it. You know. So again, it's not his body. I mean, there's a different actor altogether. But it's, hold on, I'm bringing it up real quick. So we get this moment where she starts to kind of like explaining everything that's been happening, right? So she's like, "Where did you get that weapon?" Right? And he's like, "Well, how did you cut yourself?" And he's like, "I did it by using this," you know?
I remember that bit.
And so he then gives Paz Vizsla the weapon, who immediately recognizes it. Right? Paz knows this is the Darksaber, right? He is from Clan...
I saw that bit, yes.
He is from Clan Vizsla, right? He knows 100% what the man... And, like, when he's carrying it, it's reverent. Like, it is a moment of, like, here, like, he's holding it like this, walking. He's carrying it gingerly with a level of respect that Din Djarin doesn't carry it with, right? Like, in the final episode, when of Mandalorian, season 2, when we see, you know, and spoiler alert if you haven't seen it, but if you haven't seen it at this point, this is on you. When we see Luke, Mando tries to give Bo-Katan the saber. He's like, "Here, take it."
Yeah, I remember that.
And she's like, "Whoa. I can't take it." And everyone's like, "Wait a second.
It has to be taken in combat.
It has to be taken in combat." But they're like, "Well, you took it in Rebels. Why won't you take it now?" Okay? But this is after the fact, right? And I think this is clearly after the fact that Mandalore has fallen. All of that stuff has taken place. She's been ousted as the leader because clearly she's not worthy of it. But at this moment, when the armorer picks it up, she's like, "Look, anyone who wields this sword can defeat 20. Anyone who wields this sword can bring Mandalore back together, right? Has the right to lead Mandalore, unless you didn't win it by combat or you are unworthy, right? It says, if it is won by creed, it is said one warrior will defeat 20, and the multitudes will fall before it. She then continues to say, all right, if, however, it is not won in combat, and falls into the hands of the undeserving, it will cause a curse unto the nation, right? Like it. So this, honestly, I gotta say, like this to me is Mandalore scripture, right? I think there was a lot of very heavy metaphor in this, right? Because even in the book of Boba Fett, and here later on, when we see, or even in the Mandalorian, and here in this episode later on, Din even refers to this as his religion, you know? And so there's a very religious overtone to this. But we know that it wasn't won by combat necessarily from Sabine, right? Because Sabine got it from Darth Maul, from his cave on Dathomir, right? When he and Ezra went and got it. But, like, she just took it. She didn't win it against Maul. She just took it, right? Then Sabine takes it, gives it to Bo-Katan, and she accepts it all willy-nilly, and we don't necessarily know what Bo-Katan had done with it, but we know that it didn't work because she was ousted, right? And the Night of 1,000 Tears. Now, here's the interesting thing, too. As well as it didn't work for Bo-Katan, it also didn't work for Moff Gideon, okay? We know that Moff Gideon somehow laid claim to it, but he was unworthy, and he was bested by Din Djarin. Right? Now, as later on in this whole concept, in this whole episode, he's training with this. Actually, it's shortly after this scene where his leg heals and she gives us this information. She's like, "Hey, by the way, if the person who's wielding it is unrighteous or unworthy," all right, she didn't say unrighteous, but unworthy, the Mandalorians will be scattered to the four corners of the wind. That is exactly where we are right now. Mandalore is all over the place, right? Like, we know that Paz and the Armorer are some of the only ones left of their covert, right? Of their coven, or whatever you want to call it, of their Mandalorian tribe. They're the only ones here for sure. But there have to be, and there's likely to be, other Mandalorians in other areas of the galaxy. So again, scattered to the four winds.
Well, we know there is. We know there is because Bo-Katan got the assistance of Din Djarin in Mandalorian season 2. Why were they trying to steal ships with weapons on if there weren't other Mandalorians, waiting to be armed, in preparation for doing what? So we know that elsewhere in the galaxy, there are other Mandalorians ready to rock and roll. They just need the necessary resources and armaments in order to be a proper army. Yeah, because they're as far as they're probably small arms. I mean, they'll have their jetpacks, they'll have their armor, and they'll have their small arms. But they need heavy. They need ships, they need artillery, they need all of that stuff, and that's what Sabine has been, stealing. So we know that they are out there somewhere.
Yeah. We just, I will say that it's likely that they are not part of the same Mandalorian creed, right? So
it's a big galaxy.
It is.
It's a big galaxy.
It is.
I mean, we haven't seen this Niven ring in anywhere in Star Wars lore. I mean, it's in 40 years of Star Wars TV, movie, comics, books, novels, and this is the first time we're seeing. This is the first time we're ever seeing a Niven ring. So this location in the galaxy has never been revealed before in Star Wars, in the Star Wars universe. So yeah.
So
and there's only two of them.
2 Niven rings or 2 Mandos?
There's only 2. Yeah, you've only got the Armorer and Vizsla.
Yeah. So what's interesting is in this moment, Paz Vizsla, he's questioning Boba or Din about where he got the ring. And he's like, "Look, I defeated Moff Gideon." He knows the rumor, or not the rumor, the legend, right? You got to defeat it in combat, but you know, there's some things that are important. So as they're putting together the furnace again, which I thought was super dope, right? She's reforging the flame, right? Reigniting the past. As she goes and she's talking about as he's going and he's talking about everything that's been going on with stuff, the armorer gives this weird, like, another weird legend, and it's the concept of the Mythosaur, right? And she says, in eons past, they said the Mythosaur would rise up and herald a new age of Mandalore. Now, again, this is one of those things that feels very much like, almost like scripture, right? She's quoting like book and verse of prophecy to the Mandalorian people, right? And she's like, too bad there's no more Mythosaurs that live, right? They don't exist anymore. I feel like when she's talking about the Mythosaur, it looks like Paul just found a stable connection. Should we bring him in?
Yeah, let's uncancel him.
Yes, let's uncancel Paul. This may screw everything up. I'm going to uncancel Paul.
Okay, I'm...
Bring him in.
If we bring him in, we're going to have to start the Zoom again.
Oh, will we?
Yeah, because I just logged in using mine.
Okay, gotcha.
I'd have to log in using I didn't log in using the show one.
So log out, and I will continue to talk.
Yeah. Okay.
Okay. So we're gonna have a little bit of an issue, but I'm gonna keep going. You've got Paul Anthony's character here, but we'll come back out now. I've got to say though, like when she's talking about this stuff, she is like, she's building up she's breaking down the Beskar spear. I feel like and Solomon, you say, I think you're dead on here. You said that you feel like the Mythosaur doesn't have to be a legit Mythosaur. It could be just a metaphor, right? Now, I watched a video a couple of days ago, or what was it? It was Saturday. It was by a YouTuber called Star Wars Fanatic, and he broke down his own theory, and I was like enthralled with it. This is the theory that I made my own video on. Paul will have to Nev will have to send the invite. But as he's going through this, and he's talking about the concept of the rise of the Mythosaur, right? You see the Mythosaur throughout this episode, right? You see the symbol. Exactly. Boba Fett is the only one that I'm familiar with that has the Mythosaur on the on his logo, on his lapel, right? All right, here we are. Joining the Zoom meeting. I'm bringing in Paul and Nev again. But
Paul.
Are we in, Nev?
That would be me.
Paul!
Yeah, we're in.
Let me make sure
But it's a triple now.
Let me make an
So
adjustment here.
Yeah, I'm unable to see any chat, so you guys will have to be my chat reader.
Okay, we'll do. All right, Zoom. There we are. Done. I gotta make an adjustment, but I gotta say. So what I was saying is, we were talking about this just the other day, with I believe it was Solomon Grundy points out that we're talking about the legend of the Mythosaur that's being discussed. You know,
right? And Boba's has had the Mythosaur for who knows how long.
Yeah, and so that Mythosaur that Boba's got is it's on his not lapel, but it's on his pauldron, and like I'm nearly confident that Boba is the Mythosaur that's gonna rise up, right? Like that's
we can
my
only
thought.
hope for the Book of Boba Fett,
right? That's my thought. Aldry says, "Paul, save us from the technical difficulties." You can't be saved from the technical difficulties, Aldry. It's part of the show.
not on a Going Nerdy stream.
Not on a Going Nerdy live stream.
That light sucks. There, hey,
Yes.
that looks much better.
That looks good on you, Paul. So I gotta say, like,
Live from the hotel room.
live from the hotel room. So I gotta say, like, one of the cool things about this was the armor is breaking down that spear. We still don't know exactly where the spear came from, but she
Doesn't really matter anymore now, does it?
It could, because all she did was take the tip off. She just circumcised
Just
it a
the
bit.
tip.
Just the tip.
She circumcised the spear.
She did, but I believe it was our good friend Run DMV, who pointed this out to me the other day. Is although the armorer, who again I've got to believe that this is Rookcast, right? This is
No.
You don't think it's
no
Rookcast?
No chance.
What?
Look at the
Not even
way
a chance?
she moves.
Not
No.
even a chance?
No.
Why not?
Because because you're talking 20 years on top of however old they were back then. More than 20 years.
She was young though.
We're talking 25 bloody years. You really, so what? So, hey, I mean, don't get me wrong, because we know that we know that ladies, we know that gals in the Star Wars universe in their 50s can move pretty damn well. Fenneck Shand is a perfect example of that.
Yeah.
I mean, she's hot, she kicks ass, and she's in her 50s. So
absolutely,
yes, it's possible. But Fenneck Shand wears she doesn't wear like armor.
Yeah.
And a great big massive helmet. And I think, that would probably make it, a little bit harder.
Nev, you've got to also remember, Fenneck Shand has abs of steel now.
True, yeah, she does. She's rocking the abs of steel. Yeah, she's been modified, hasn't she?
She's been doing that cardio X. The P90X or whatever.
And here's the thing. I get all of that, but you've got to remember who they've cast as the armorer. Emily Swallow is a young, so when the time comes for her to remove her helmet, and a young woman is revealed, it's not going to match up with a timeline sense.
You're right, Nev. You're right.
Not.
But
at some point they will remove their helmet.
No.
Yes, they will.
Dude.
At some point they will. When all of the Mandalorian clans reunite, at that point, helmets will be removed.
Really?
Yes.
I have to
whoever
disagree.
Mandalore is will be able to decree. Yes, you can take your goddamn helmet off.
Just take it off. Take it off. But I disagree. I mean, I think you're right about the Mandalorian calling it's time. But there will still be those zealots, and that's what the armorer is. She is a zealot. She is a Mandalorian zealot, and she is not going to just take her hat off for any one man.
She's not exactly for any one person other than Mandalore.
Yeah, but
no, whoever becomes the big cheese to unite all of the Mandalorians, that's the person that she's going to listen to. And if that person says you can remove your helmet, she's going to remove her helmet.
Yeah. No, and I get that. I mean, I'm looking at it now.
Emily Swallow is a very good-looking young lady.
You say young lady, man. She's older than I am. She was born in 79. She's in her 40s. Right?
Early 40s. She's 42.
I get that, but
that's early 40s.
That's early 40s. Like, that's
still younger than Fenneck Shand.
No, I get that. That's my whole point. But, like, if she takes the helmet off, she was probably like 15 or 16 if it is rook cast. And I do believe that it is. She was probably 15 or 16 during the fall of Mandalore. During the Battle of Mandalore.
Okay.
And then 30 years.
If she was that age, then if you add 25, because it's roughly 25, because you've got to take into consideration the 18 years.
She would have been 17.
Add the 6 onto so 17 plus 18 plus 6 plus 5.
42.
So 28 on top of So all right then, yeah. Okay.
But that's my point.
I will concede my earlier point that it's not. It would be not very believable that it's her. I'll concede that point. Absolutely.
It could be,
so it could be. So it 100% could be. Yes. Yeah. Absolutely. I'll concede that point.
And I'm not saying that it is. I'm just saying that it's a very real possibility, right? Because in this scene, we have a few. Like I said, we have a lot of information that the armorer gives us. And one of the things that she mentions is she's talking about the spear, but she also talks about Bo-Katan. And there is some real hatred when she's discussing Bo-Katan. Right? Now, she does it in her typical, like, I'm wise and all-knowing, and I'm going to tell you this. I'm going to pass down my information. But she's like, Bo-Katan is a cautionary tale, right? She believes...
because they went toe-to-toe. They went toe-to-toe with each other.
That's my point.
At the end of season 7 of the Clone Wars.
Yeah, that's exactly my point.
There is some animosity between the Mandalorians that followed Maul and the Mandalorians that followed Bo-Katan. There is animosity between those two groups. Yeah, absolutely.
Now, whether it is Rookcast or not, she is clearly a follower of the Death Watch, right? Of Death Watch,
which we know that this whole entire thing, this whole entire sect was part of Death Watch.
Yeah.
We've known that because Death Watch is who saved Din Djarin.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, we've known that since season 1 Mandalorian.
Yeah. Now, one thing that's interesting about this is with the spear. After its circumcision and reforge. So we got to point this out. So she snipped the tip of the spear, and she's making it into something for Baby Yoda. Right? That is
Grogu.
Sorry, she's making it into some kind of armor for Grogu.
You've done messed up, G-Rogue.
Yeah, G-Rogue. I gotta say, this is interesting because they're taking the anyways. I was gonna continue on with this, circumcision joke, but I'm gonna stop.
Just get to the point.
But she left the rest of the spear intact. Just the tip. She left the rest of the spear intact. Now, this was the thing that Run DMV and I were talking about the other day. We just had a Skype call, the two of us, or Discord chat. While Bo-Katan believes that no armor should be, or no weapon should be made from Beskar, right? Because not only is it can block a lightsaber, it can pierce other Beskar, right? But a staff traditionally is a symbol of power. It's a symbol of whatever, right? Of leadership. But we've seen Mandalores in the past have staffs from old canon. Mandalore the Ultimate had a staff, right? There's a lot of potential. Now, if she's
Paul
neutered
wants
it.
to say something. Paul's bursting.
Okay, Paul, go.
He has to say something.
What is the staff that Ahsoka is holding at the end of Rebels made of?
That is a good question.
Okay, Google time.
I don't have Google Foo right now like I
Okay,
normally
okay.
do. What is that staff that she's
Rebels.
holding?
It's got a weird. It also has a weird tip to it.
It doesn't. It's a circle.
It's a circle, right?
Yeah, it's on top of another staff.
No, it is. It is. And that staff could have been taken. I mean, there's any number of things that staff.
That could have been the staff that was taken and reforged.
Yeah.
Into the staff that the magistrate was using.
Yeah, absolutely, without a hesitation.
I'm just looking at.
So I've downloaded it. Let me bring it up here real quick.
I'm just looking at images of it now at the moment.
I've got to remove our not Nick Nolte, but here it is. So this is the staff. It does have a circle on top. Now, but again, like that could have been reforged at any time. That's not necessarily. I think you're absolutely right, Paul. That could absolutely be a Beskar staff. But we have this moment where she
does it show shine? Is it shiny? I guess.
I mean, it's not super shiny, but it's not necessarily dull either. You know, it
I'm
just
looking
depends.
at the image. It's all it would appear to be all one color.
Yeah. Now
it's definitely all. It's all one. It is all one color.
Yeah. Now here's an interesting thing. Okay, like we're only 15 minutes into the episode, and Bo-Katan, when she started up the little forge. And the moment that Boba, that Din Djarin is like, hey, have you heard of Bo-Katan Kryze? Have you heard of this other Mandalorian that we know of? You may not be familiar with
the tragedy of
Bo-Katan Kryze. So she's starting the forge again, and she opens up this little like thermos, and she dumps something into the heat, the water, whatever you're gonna call it. I have a feeling
it's fuel. It's a priming agent.
Yeah, it's a priming agent. I have a feeling that is part of the water that we're going to talk about here in a moment that is from underneath Mandalore, right?
Water in that case would cause splatters everywhere.
The wrong water would cause splatters everywhere. Now, we know that Beskar is like one of those, it's like Damascus steel, right? Only a handful of people can make it, right? You can't forge Beskar armor. Like, it's not just anyone can forge it, right? It is a legit, like, complicated metal to craft. That's why the Mandalorian.
It's a complicated profession.
It's a complicated profession, yeah. And so, part of me feels like that, and it's just one of those, like, irks in the back of my mind that I feel like something is meaningful here. Because they have this moment where this is where she's talking about all of the stuff. This is where she's like, Bo-Katan, you got to be careful about that girl. She's from a noble house that kind of got too big for their britches. And, she thought she could just rule because of her house and by wielding the Darksaber. That's not what it is, right? You have to earn the Darksaber, right? Now, she gives this tale, she's like, look, you can't just wield it from stuff. You've got to actually earn the right? This is where she talks about how she survived the Great Purge, how the people of the Death Watch, the children of the, what do they call it? The children of the Promise. That's not right. The children of the Watch.
Porn.
No, wrong. That's a different group of children. But the children of the Watch, this is how they survived. They were not on Mandalore at the time. We got a carpet bombing of Mandalore, which was dope to see, right? but they totally
Horrific to witness, dope to see. Yes.
horrific to witness, dope to see. We have the Terminator style desecration of all life, right? They sent in K2 droids with probe droids to kill everything, and they did. Only the people who were off planet survived, right? Scattered to the four winds because the wrong person was wielding the sword. I still think the wrong person is yielding the sword. Din Djarin has tried to give the sword away at every turn. Every turn. Even when he hands it to Paz Vizsla, he's like, here you go, take this, go show her, right? He doesn't see, he knows that it's an important blade. He knows that this weapon is powerful. What he doesn't know is that it's full importance until right now. But now he's starting to see, hey, maybe there's more to it than what I've gotten from this.
Right? Are you talking about the staff?
No, I'm talking about the sword.
I've got Dave Filoni's explanation up in front of me right now.
Hit me with the Dave Filoni's.
So this was with regards to her look and her staff at the end of Rebels. On her entire look. Oh, her entire look is important, Filoni said. It's very important. It's specific to her journey prior to seeing her at the end of Rebels. But I won't go into much more detail about that because, in my mind, some of those things, while I understand the general path of it, I don't understand the specific details as of yet because I haven't had to think about it in detail yet. And I don't want to lock myself into promising the audience something if I later go into those things and explore. I designed it in a certain way with art director Killian Plunkett. People are already trying to guess, is it just a staff? Is it some kind of saber staff? That would be exciting. We'll have to see. But the image of her, everything about it was important. Even the inclination of her head where her jawline was. Everything about that moment. So I think it carried off the way it was intended. And we'll have to see.
Yeah.
So he basically gave her the staff with no mind as to what it was or what it does because he didn't want to think about the detail of it. He didn't want to lock himself into promising something. It was just something that he put in there that he could go into later and explore if he wanted to.
Yeah.
So there was the back when he gave her the staff, there was nothing behind it other than, him and the art director thought it kind of looked cool and he didn't want to put any details into it.
Yeah.
So as of right now, right this moment, there's nothing in it.
Well,
but he left it open enough that he could add detail to it at a later date. So I wanted to come up with some tenuous link, later on down the line, maybe maybe there's some explanation for it, but whatever he comes up with isn't going to make any sense with this staff, the one that the tip was melted down with, the one that was circumcised.
Yes.
There's no link between that one and this one because let's not forget she had that one at the end of Rebels. The one that she took from her assailant in The Mandalorian was taken donkey's years afterwards, and then given to. So the one that the spear is in no way whatsoever linked to the one that she had at the end of Rebels, even though we don't have a story behind the one at Rebels. So there cannot physically be a link. If there was a link,
there might be flashbacks in the Ahsoka series then.
Yeah.
If there was a link, right, she would have been like, oh, hang on a minute. This is my staff that had a circle on it, and now it's a spear.
So that makes more sense to me than what you said before, right? The fact that she had the spear, right, in the Mandalorian and gave it to Din Djarin, right? That makes more sense to me because, like, what Filoni said, from what you just read, there is a very real reason for everything in this shot, as far as the Ahsoka shot at the end of Rebels. But he's not going to tell us what it is because he may change his mind, right? Or he wasn't going to tell us.
It's still. I mean, even if no, it still wouldn't make any sense because at the end, between the end of Rebels and when we next see Ahsoka Tano on that planet dueling with I don't know, that magistrate woman, that governess or whatever she was,
Elsbeth.
The magistrate.
The when she was dueling with the magistrate, and then she beat her and had the spear.
Yeah.
There was nothing. There was no this feels familiar. There was no, and she was quite happy to give it away.
Yeah.
Okay.
So no, I agree. I agree, and I think I agree to an extent, right? I think there's definitely. I think linking these two staffs together is tenuous. It is.
Yeah, it's very.
You have to want.
There is
to be
no
there.
link.
Yeah.
There is
Paul,
no
what
link.
were you gonna
it's,
say?
It's fan. The link is pure fan speculation. There is no link, and I don't think Filoni will link the two. I just don't. I do not think that they will.
I mean, Thaddeus did a whole speculation video, so I had to interject some speculation into this.
So
we
didn't get the. I must admit, I was very, very disappointed that we didn't get. That we didn't get a Mandalorian flashback to his childhood when the furnace lit up, because every other time that she was working on it, he'd flash back to his childhood.
That's true.
It's like,
that's true.
What? So he's not looking into the flames and the magic, and seeing his parents and seeing B2s, blowing and killing people. It's like, so we're done with those flashbacks now, are we?
Yeah. So while she's...
You were tired of flashbacks, Neil.
Yes, we are tired of flashbacks.
So while she is snipping the tip, she's saying, look, our adherence to the code, not taking off the helmet, everything, is what saved us, right? The reason we didn't bow down to the Bo-Katan rule, the reason we don't take off our helmets, only the path, only those that walk the path, the way. Wow! Only those that walked the way escaped the curse of the prophecy prophesied in the creed. Though our numbers were scattered to the winds, our adherence to the way has preserved our legacy for the generations until we someday return to our home world. Now, again,
this is the way.
This is the way. This is foreshadowing that there will be a reunification of Mandalore. They will reunite under Mandalore. I mean, that's the whole theory of the Darksaber, right? The person who wields it will be the Mandalore, right? Now, whether they're recognized as the Mandalore or whether they're the true Mandalore, I think there's going to be a lot that's up for grabs with that, but it's definitely interesting. Now, here's the thing. This is where he's like, hey, there's a foundling that I want you to use this bit of foreskin. I want you to use the pointy part to forge into armor for a foundling. Which foundling? A specific foundling, that being Grogu. And she doesn't, something for a foundling. What foundling? Well, a specific one. We don't get the fact that he's a Mandalorian, but Din Djarin looks at him as his child, right? I feel like that is a very real connection. We're definitely going to see. He's looking at him as his child. Din Djarin considers himself a Mandalorian, so Din Djarin quite possibly could bring Boba. Oh my gosh, Baby Yoda, Grogu into the Mandalorian faction. By doing so, he gets adopted into the faction, which is how many Mandalorians used to come to it, right? You had the true Mandalorian.
That's what
culture.
Mandalorian is a creed. It's no longer a race.
Exactly.
It used to be just a race.
It used to be,
but it's not a race anymore.
Yeah.
What if it's a helmet for Grogu?
That's what I'm thinking it might be.
It's not a helmet.
It's not a helmet.
It's a tiny little bag.
It's not a bag. It's mail.
Okay, what if it's a cod piece?
Me personally, I think it's the sigil. I think it's the I think it's
he already
sigil.
got the sigil at the end of season 2, though.
No, he didn't get the sigil. He got
No, he hasn't.
The little
Grogu.
ball. He gave him the ball.
He doesn't have a sigil.
Yeah.
I thought he.
I think it's the sigil on like a necklace.
I
thought he got a mudhorn sigil somehow. Like
no, Grogu doesn't have one.
Yeah, Grogu doesn't have. Grogu's got the little ball that's his helmet. The sigil, I gotta say, I don't have it near me, but I've got 2 of those little stuffed baby Yodas, that I got from Costco way back, and you have what came with him was the ball, a cup, and a sigil necklace. So I think Nev's right. I think it's going to be a sigil. I think it's likely we're going to see it. It's interesting though. He was, to me, it makes sense for him to have it, but I don't think it's going to be a mudhorn sigil. I think it's going to be the Mythosaur sigil, the sigil of the Mandalorians, right? Now,
I think it's just going to be the Mudhorn.
Do you? I see. I think it's
because I think it's going to be the Mudhorn because then they can market it as a gift, and people will go out and buy it.
Yeah, I mean, but you can market it as
Disney could sell that.
You could sell it as a Mythosaur, right? Like, and again, one of the things that's interesting about all of this is the armorer. The armorer is very much connected with that sigil of the Mandalorian, right? Not the Mudhorn, but the what do you call it? The Mythosaur. Like on her tool chest, which I love, she carries around a tool chest with her. She has the symbol of the Mythosaur on her chest cabinet. When in the Coven underground on Navarro, like above one of the archways was a symbol of the Mythosaur, right?
And the way to get to where they were hidden on the ring, the Halo ring.
Yeah.
Had the Mythosaur as well. Yeah. That is true.
And so she's going through and she's like, I think she's very much connected with this. And so one of the things that I'm interested about is this last theory of the of the Mythosaur here. And she's talking about how the Mythosaur will rise again, and that will bring in this dawning of the new age of Mandalore, right? Yeah. What if
we've tackled this.
But my point is, what if the Mythosaur itself is just the Mandalorian people? It's as a metaphor, right? The rise of the Mandalorians as a people, bringing each other back. Now, the next scene after she makes the necklace or whatever, the chainmail. I would love to see Baby Yoda and chainmail. Probably not going to be the case because
is dark saber training.
Is the dark saber training, and Din's like, oh man, I don't know, I can't do this. It's getting heavier and heavier and heavier, and it's not just the weight of the leadership, it's the weapon itself. Part of me feels that that the weapon is alive. We know that the crystals have that Mandalorian or the saber crystals have kind of a mind of their own and can kind of work with or against an owner, right? But we haven't seen it like this before.
You're getting lightsabers and wands from Harry Potter mixed up.
I'm not, man. Like if you look at in the book, there's a book called Ahsoka, right? Ahsoka faces off against a Night Brother. There's a moment where she goes up against him, and he's not wielding, or he's wielding his blade, right? And Ahsoka's got nothing, and she goes and kicks the ever living. Yeah,
Talking
that's the
about
one.
this.
Yeah, she kicks the ever living crap out of him, takes the crystals for herself, and then uses those crystals to power her new blade, right? And it's this new blade because the crystals had been stolen, theoretically, from a Jedi who had fallen, had been turned into bled crystals or cracked crystals, or turned into the red crimson crystals. She healed them and made them her own. I think what we're seeing...
And made them white.
And made them white. She purified them. But I think what we see here is a similar thing. The saber is not working as it should be, either because he's not Force sensitive, which I don't know if that matters. He's not the true wielder of the saber, or there's some other connection that's stopping him personally. Now, it could be that he's depressed and he just doesn't have it in him anymore, right? He's like, oh man, I've been fighting.
That doesn't make sense because other people have wielded the dark saber flawlessly as well.
Okay, Moff Gideon wielded it until he was bested.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah, he was bested. Yes.
But who was he fighting against?
He
wasn't fighting against a Mandalorian. He wasn't fighting against other Jedi.
Gideon was fighting. Gideon's duel with Gideon's duel with Din Djarin didn't. I mean, it may not have lasted long, but you didn't see him struggling with the weight of the dark saber. Now, and you can't say that it's getting heavier. It's getting heavier. How long do you think? So Gideon had the dark saber for ages. He cut himself out of his TIE fighter with it. And then he had a duel with Din. Those are months apart. We didn't see him struggling to hold it.
True.
Struggling to wield it. There was no weight. There didn't appear to be any weight issues whatsoever.
Yeah.
With Gideon, and that's one of the. That's why I'm getting. I keep getting annoyed with these little bits that they. What if we added this to the lore of the dark saber? It's like that's not the way. Look, you can't just keep adding stuff that doesn't.
That's not
make
how
sense
this works. That's not how any of this works.
Okay, so I here's the thing. I think we can agree that there's still missing information about the saber. Whether it will be answered in this next episode or the episode after that, or in a book, or in seasons down the road, there's more to come about this, right? But one of the important things that we come from this moment is Paz Vizsla has been watching Din Djarin and the armorer train with it. And Paz is like, F this. I'm a Vizsla. I'm from Clan Vizsla. Tor Vizsla was my great granddaddy or whatever, right? And he's like, F it, that's mine. That blade belongs to my family. Now, I do believe there's going to be some kind of lineage here that will have allowed a Mandalorian from the lineage of Tor Vizsla to wield the saber, right? Because we do know that when he died, the first Mandalorian Jedi, the only Mandalorian Jedi that we know of, I mean, they say the first Mandalorian Jedi, which implies there were others, but we don't know of any, obviously. The idea, though, is this one, when he died, it was put on the temple. And the Mandos were like, F that. If weaponry is our religion, you don't get to show it off on some temple on some other planet. We're taking it back. So they go in, they take it back, and, presumably it gets passed down from generation to generation. That's what my thought is. But Paz Vizsla, I think, also has that same thought. He's like, that's mine. And so there's this fight, this duel.
Solomon Grundy makes an excellent point in the chat. First time he picked it up, it was heavy for him.
Who? Paz?
Vizsla.
Yeah.
Paz. soon as Paz was holding the dark set, he was showing, he was showing signs that it was heavy in his hand.
Yeah.
And that's the only time he's ever held it.
Yeah.
First and only time he's probably ever held it.
Probably.
And it was instantly heavy.
Yeah.
And that has not been the case with other people that have wielded it.
And so this is the point, and this is what I think we're getting at, and Bones hits it on the head. This is a King Arthur story. Din Djarin is Lancelot, right? King Arthur will be ruler of his very own Camelot there on Tatooine, and that King Arthur's going to be Boba Fett. Now, hold on. In lore, in canon, Tar Vizsla, or one of the Vizsla descendants was bested. T-Vizzy was bested by Django, right? It was an unarmed fight. It was just like hand to hand. They beat the ever-living crap out of each other, and Django wins, right? If Django is the rightful heir or wielder of the throne, and I know that you're saying I'm getting my stuff mixed up with Harry Potter.
Django was defeated by Mace.
I'm not saying there's not a crick in this, a chink in my armor here, and that's
crease.
not.
That's a big.
That's
that's
to
a big
say
crease.
like a bending part, not anything.
I mean, he
racial.
wasn't just beaten by Mace Windu. He was
beheaded.
defeated and killed.
Yes, but
Is there anything that you're about to say that passes on from Django to somebody else? Completely irrelevant, because Mace Windu beat Django.
And so Mace Windu is the rightful wielder of the Darksaber,
It could be.
who was defeated by Anakin. So Darth Vader is the ruler of Mandalore.
That's assuming that Anakin died, or Mace Windu died. If Mace lives, he was
defeated.
We're
talking about defeated.
No.
Whether he died or not is irrelevant. He was defeated.
De-armed. He was disarmed. That's all it was.
He was still defeated.
He was actually. So that's the other thing. He was actually defeated by Palps, who pushed him out the window. Vader just cut his hand off. He was disarmed.
And then Vader threw Palp down the thing. Vader still wins.
All right, I don't know.
And who defeated Vader? Luke Skywalker. Oh my God! It's going to be Luke.
It could be. It could be.
See,
right?
There are like way too many tenuous links here. Okay. There are way too many tenuous links here. Let's get off the tenuous link.
All right. So back to the actual story.
And get back to the episode.
Back to the episode. We are an hour and 17 minutes.
Back to the episode, Mandalorian season 3, episode 0.
And we are only 20 minutes into the 50-minute episode. So Paz loses. Go ahead, Paul.
I was just gonna say most of the rest of the episode was a montage about hot rod building.
That's true. It was a Tim Allen wet dream in space.
Yeah. It's working. It's working.
Okay. Yeah. So I gotta say though, like, I'm curious. I can't just
Welcome to Tatooine
I was getting
Garage.
MacGyver. I was getting MacGyver vibes when they were working on the ship.
That felt. I'm actually very curious because we got an anatomy lesson about what Jawas look like. Right? They're furry.
Yeah, apparently they're furry.
So I'm curious. I'm gonna bring up
and not very picky when it comes to partners.
Oh, seriously. Let's see. Anyways, so this
And
last
once you
part,
go Pelly, you'll never ever telly.
Oh, you'll never tell, ever. Oh man. So Paz Vizsla loses, and then he goes. She asks, she's like, "Have you ever been disarmed? Have you ever had your helmet off?" Paz is like, "No." Din says yes. He pauses and he's like, "You got me. I've had my helmet off." And then she says, "You are no longer a Mandalorian." Right? He asks how he can be redeemed. Okay? I've got to say, she says, according to Creed, the only way to be redeemed is in the living waters beneath the mines of Mandalore. Okay? if Din Djarin can be redeemed, if he is no longer a Mandalorian and he can be redeemed, can anyone become a Mandalorian through these living waters in the mines of Moria?
By going to the mines of Moria, I mean Mandalore.
Yes, right? Because if that's the case, then if Boba does it, if Boba takes a pilgrimage, right? A holy quest, a back to Bath. Oh my gosh! If Bacta's actually from the mines of Moria or Mandalore, Boba's been swimming in it. It's like, anyways, right? But the idea is, could Boba then claim the title of Mandalore, or at the very least Mandalorian? Because we know that Bo-Katan does not consider him a Mandalorian, but Jango Fett was. So either something happened that disqualified Boba, right? Or he was just never recognized, or some right or thing never allowed him to be Mandalorian. What is it? You know, like, could he then take the steps necessary to be a full-fledged Mandalorian again, or for the first time? And if he can, what is stopping him from becoming the Mandalore? Right? What is stopping him from...
Ratings.
Well, you think
ratings?
You don't think he would become the Mandalore?
Show ratings is what's stopping him.
You don't think he has the potential to become the Mandalore? And that people would love that?
No,
really?
It's not going to be him. Boba is not Din Djarin, the Mandalorian. He is the shining star. He is the center. You know, Boba Fett is the Incredible Hulk.
Okay, so
Boba Fett is the Incredible Hulk. Boba Fett is the character that we want to see cameoing in everyone else's shows because he's an awesome character. But when it comes to his own show, just like the Hulk's own movies sucked. But when the Hulk was in other people's movies, we loved it. That's what Boba is. But that is where Boba's strength lies. Is that you can throw him in 2 or 3 episodes of someone else's show, and he's badass, and we love it, and we want more.
But he's not a leading man
on
himself.
His own. It's like, it's just not. You know, it just doesn't. It doesn't work on his own, right?
Stop trying to make that happen.
The show ratings, the ratings show that. You know,
I am going to 100% disagree. So
yeah.
If
surprise,
I know, right?
Surprise.
So if this is an Arthurian legend, okay? And you, Nev, you might be dead right. You might. I will acknowledge that this could be anything. Now, if it is an Arthurian legend, there's no way Mando could be anything but a shining knight. Did you catch? I mean, so after this, he goes to Tatooine. He visits Peli, right? He he visits Peli, and what does Peli have for him? A Naboo Royal Guard starfighter. He's a guard. He's it's an honorific. He is a knight to the king. Or for the Royal Guard, it would have been Queen, right? I mean, depending on who was elected.
You are reading into that. That ship is there for nostalgia and nostalgia.
It's Dave Filoni and Jon Favreau. It is more than nostalgia. They are Mandalorians.
Nostalgia.
They are Mandalorians.
The ship is there for nostalgia.
The ship is there for nostalgia. I will not discredit that. You are absolutely right. Everything those two gentlemen do has a back door and another back door. And
but why they chose that and not a cargo?
It's good. I mean, don't get me wrong. Yeah. It's good nostalgia. I mean, it'd be nice to see one of those ships actually getting flown properly for a change.
Yeah, well, we did.
Well, did he try spinning?
Here's the thing. You know, when the space battle does eventually come, you know, when we finally get that 5, 10, or 15 minutes of space battle,
Mm-hmm.
and the Mandalorians in that ship, it's going to look pretty, you know, it's going to be Poe Dameron and Hold My Beer.
Yeah.
You know, that's how good he's going to be in that ship.
Yeah.
And Grogu's going to be sat in the little bubble going every time something gets blown up.
Do you think that the droid pit is going to be Grogu's pit?
Grogu's going to be sat in there laughing every time something gets blown up by him.
No, he's going to be in the back, and he's going to be the gunner, just like giggling as he destroys things, right? Grogu's going to love just blowing stuff up. She's like, you know.
Yeah.
Like a banta. All right, it's it is absolutely what he's gonna do. But again, I 100% am feeling this. Now, I will admit that I don't know, but Fenneck Shand, the lady herself, Ming-Na Wen, said by the end of the series, you're gonna go back and rewatch episodes 1 through 7 with a totally different view.
No, I'm not.
You say that now, but the series isn't over, right? Or I said not series. By the end of the first season.
No, I think I'm to be honest, to be 100% honest with you, I'm kind of hoping that by the end of this season, somebody at Disney, one of the Disney execs that's part of Disney Plus, sits down and goes, "Look, guys, we're getting creamed by Netflix. What does Netflix do? They release every episode of a series in one go. All right,
that would put us out of a weekly gig.
Yeah, we need. I don't know. It doesn't matter. We could still spread it. Disney Plus needs to start doing that. And I'll give you a perfect example of why they need to start doing that. And that's simply no, I'm not going to give any spoilers, but The Witcher season 2.
Okay.
The only reason why I was able to stick all the way through, because there were a couple of periods in The Witcher season 2 where I would have been like, we'll see what happens. We'll see what, because I was able to go from episode to episode to episode to episode to episode all the way through. I was able to binge watch, and while 1 was still better than 2, I still got to the end of season 2 and I was happy. Right? Having to wait week after week after week after week is draining. Especially when something that happens in an episode that leaves a bad taste in you, that bad taste that it gets left in your mouth for the entire week. Whereas if you could move immediately, there must be something better in the next episode, something, you know, to wash this bad taste out of my.
Yeah,
they need to. You know, everybody else does it. They need to, you know, they just do. They need to. I mean, Cobra Kai, you know, people would be pulling their hair out if they weren't able to watch Cobra Kai back to back to back. You know, it was exactly every one of the really, really good shows on Netflix. They get high ratings because people can binge watch them all in one go. I mean, Ozark
I
just
agree with
came out.
that. I agree with that. And I think for a model, I think that's a legit approach. I do have a feeling that's not going to be changing, right? I don't know. Like I agree that like having that bingeable, having something to binge like that is so good. I just don't think they're going to do it. Because it's not, because it would have helped series like Scarlet Witch, right? It would have helped series that I think had some rocky starts, but at the same.
I mean, put it this way: it would have helped me because I stopped watching I stopped watching the Bucky show after episode 3. Because I'm like, you know what? I had to wait a week, and it's like I wasn't really that bothered about episode 3, and then I didn't bother watching 4. I just didn't bother watching. However, if all of those episodes had been available for me to watch then and there, I would have watched all of them. I would have watched them, every single one of them, back to back because it was available to me. Because it wasn't, I stopped watching after episode 3. I haven't gone back and watched them. Haven't even bothered with Hawkeye. Because it's like, I don't want, I'm sick, I'm sick and tired. Star Wars is a different kettle of fish.
It is.
Right?
It is. No, I agree.
Sick. Netflix has spoiled us all. Netflix has spoiled us all. Same thing with Paramount. The same thing with Paramount when they gave us Picard, right? It was a struggle.
It was.
Waiting every single week and, having to relive an episode that I wasn't particularly enamored with. And then, then we get the next one. Please be better. Damn, it wasn't, And then having to wait another week. If I can watch them all, but, when you can watch them all back to back, even if there's a couple of bad ones in there, you can still sweep straight through them.
No, I agree.
It makes the story better.
I agree. And there are, I think it was Bones that said this. It was Alder that said this in the chat. Everyone watches things at a different pace. I loved The Witcher season 2, but I watched it like over the course of like a week and a half, 2 weeks. Not because I didn't have time, it's just because other things came up and other shows came up.
I watched season 2 over 3 days.
Yeah. And so but that's the point, is I think it's different for everyone. And I think that what we're seeing here is because I guarantee you what I saw with this episode, and I said this about episodes 1 through 4, and I've never felt more correct about it, at least obviously in my side. Episodes 1 through 4 is a standalone movie. If you watch episodes 1 through 4, it is a 2.5 hour film that has a rise and fall, and it leaves you with the cliffhanger. Episodes 5, 6, and 7, same concept, right? I think that's going to be our wrap up for the season, and it's like we're watching a duology, broken up into 7 parts. Because it has its moments. Now, what I loved about this episode is all the lore that was there. There obviously is still a lot more. Paul is right, though. When we go to Tatooine, we have this moment with Peli. We have all these moments, and essentially she's like, I've got you this ship. And it's a Naboo Royal Guard starfighter, right? The rest of this episode is just her and him building the ship together.
Coming up with totally asinine. I don't know if any single thing that she said was previously established canon when it came to mechanic parts of any starship.
I don't know.
The only thing that had reference was the
staff,
the big pipe that was put in. That was also used during A New Hope.
I imagine the names for the parts are accurate because
probably
there are established canonical vehicle maintenance books, because I've nerded out on them. I've nerded.
Yeah, I mean, they exist. They're out there.
They exist.
Yeah, like what I loved as the wrap up of this. Yes, there were some really cool parts.
I was waiting for the Q-38 space modulator.
So I thought it was awesome. We finally got to see Beggar's Canyon. Well, we saw it again. We saw it in the pod race, right? The Slot Canyon. Didn't they travel through it in the Boonta Eve pod race? I gotta say this. Everyone in this chat or in this stream knows when I say Boonta Eve pod race, they're like, "Oh yeah, it's the one in episode 1," and right. If I were to say Boonta Eve pod race with like any of my non-nerd friends, they're like, "What the hell are you talking about?" Like if I say,
Are you eating Tide Pods?
yeah, are you Tide Pods? What's going on? Like it was, there was a lot of cool things, a lot of cool moments, but it was, I think Paul, you hit the nail on the head. This is 30 minutes of them building Legos, playing Legos, but with a starfighter.
It's American Garage Naboo.
Yeah, yeah. I do think that there's way more not theory, but there's way more built into this episode than we have time to get into in an hour and a half. Like we broke down. We've been arguing for this whole episode for the first 15 minutes of dialogue. Like I think that was done on purpose. I mean, not just us doing it on purpose, but like there's Dave Filoni and Jon Favreau have really put this together. They've really done a ton of stuff here. Now, I go back to the concept, and everyone's gonna make fun of me, and you're gonna rip into me as soon as I say this. But our good friend,
hit me, Mike. Hit me, Mike.
Our
hit me, Mike
good
Zero.
friend, and I've never met him nor spoke to him, Mike Zero, the ancient aliens of Star Wars lore. Yeah.
Star Wars rumors.
Star Wars rumors.
Lore.
Yes.
Star Wars rumors.
Star Wars rumors. I've got to say, Mike Zero talked about how originally Dave Filoni wanted to make a Mandalorian show, or a show about Mandalore, and was kind of cut off at the hips, and he was given a character. You can make a show about one. Instead of a group of Mandalorians, you can make one episode or one show. And that's where we got The Mandalorian. The success of that has brought back the Book of Boba Fett. We know, and we've been told, and this is from the rumor mill, not Mike Zero, but like from everyone, that Dave Filoni, Jon Favreau, the people over at Disney, are trying to make a end game style Star Wars series of shows. And that's why we have Kenobi. That's why we have the Book of Boba Fett. That's why we have Mandalorian. That's why we had, and as you and I both agree, Nev, will continue to have Rangers of the New Republic. That's why we have all of these shows, Ahsoka, whatever Thrawn and Ezra are doing, whatever that buddy cop show turns out to be. Like, that's what we have, right? And, like, that's what they're going for. All of that spins around the idea of there being a Mandalorian people to help with whatever's coming. Okay? We know from books, my book's back here, Paul's got them in his library, the Thrawn series, all of that is pointing to something bigger and better and worse in the extended universe. Like
the Nick Ardoon are coming. The Nick Ardoon are coming.
Right? The idea behind that is it's not just the Nick Ardoon. This is the Yuuzhan Vong. They're just renaming it. That's all it is. And who was an important character in the Yuuzhan Vong? Boba Fett, the Mandalore. Right? He was Mandalore at the time. They're bringing it back. They're doing it a slightly different way, but I am fully believing that's where this is going. Because what better way
you're like 4 phases too far ahead.
I am.
All right.
I am.
Thrawn was a totally different phase than he was introduced
10
in.
years. 10 years. Okay. That's what they've got on what we're currently getting. All right.
No, I agree.
If they do something, if they, the big culmination, that ends with everything, that's intertwined, a la Infinity War / Endgame, that'll come at the end of 10 years. And then after that, that's when they'll kick off with, right, okay, now we need to have a new big bad
Mm-hmm.
We've had a bunch of stories. We've established a bunch of new characters. We've established a bunch of new lore. Now we need to move forward with all of these characters and these new areas in a new direction. And then they'll kick off something. Then they'll be like, right, okay,
Yeah.
so let's not do an Empire / First Order. Let's just come up with some big bad outside the galaxy that's going to come in and destroy everything, a la the
Chiss.
Yuzong Vong.
Yeah. So and I agree, but if you say 10 years from now, no, 10 years from the first episode of the Book of Boba Fett. So roughly 7 years from now, which I think hits. I think is right on track. Right? I don't think it's that far away. And
it's gonna be around 2018, 2019, the big culmination.
You mean 28 and 29?
Yeah.
Yeah. Now I gotta say, we can talk about that, but let's just sum up the last half of the episode. Was there anything that stood out that you feel like we need to talk about? Because we are almost 2 hours.
I almost crapped my pants, Neil, when he said there's a woman waiting outside for you, and I thought I was about to lose the bet.
Yeah. I thought so too.
I was watching that thinking, come on. You know you want it to be Cara. Come on. And then it was.
I honestly thought, I was like, there's no way that Nev's going to win that easily. I mean, I think they're going to drag this out to the last episode. That's when we'll see Cara. But I thought it was awesome. I thought it was really cool seeing Fenneck. But man, my heart was thumping for you, Paul. I was like, he's going to lose. He's going to lose within 24 hours of making the bet.
There's a woman outside for you. No,
Crap.
no.
But anyways, all right, back to Tank. Where are we with this episode? Nev, I'll give you the first word.
60.
Okay. Paul?
As a Book of Boba Fett episode, the back to tank is depleted. This was The Mandalorian, as Neil says.
Season
The
3,
Mandalorian season 3 episode.
Mandalorian season 3 episode 0. Yeah.
Yeah. As a episode of a Star Wars show, 70.
Okay. All right. As an episode of a Star Wars show, hold on. As Mandalorian season 0 or season 3 episode 0, 100%. This was an amazing episode for The Mandalorian. As a Book of Boba Fett episode, I'm going to give it a 70, but if it goes where I think it's going to go, and if Ming-Na Wen is right, and I go back and rewatch this episode, it's probably going to jump to 100. This is opening act of the back half of the 2-part duology that is the Book of Boba Fett season 1. And if I look at it like that, this was an exciting opening part. It might have dragged on a little bit with the whole ship repair and everything, but I'm excited for tomorrow, guys. I am really excited for tomorrow.
It was pretty wizard.
It was wizard. It was so wizard. And we need to be using that word way more often. Gentlemen, what do you have coming up this week? Paul, I'll go to you first.
For me, who knows? Hopefully I get out of this hotel room by 7:30 tomorrow, and I'm on my way back to Texas, and then I'll have lots of stuff that I'll be able to help Neil on, including GA Center. Neil, tell us about that.
Yeah, we got GA Center this Thursday. We've got a lot to talk about. Some content creators GACs last week went really well, and some people had some absolute nightmares. There's some major shocks. If you've not had the opportunity to watch everybody that normally does GAC, you definitely want to tune in for Thursday, because there are some absolutely shocking results. You do not want to go into the next week not knowing exactly where everybody is.
Yeah, I gotta say, I performed a lot better than I thought I would be. I wouldn't. So, I do have this.
I've been at funeral preparation and all that. I still went 1 and 2, and my 1 was a really satisfying 1.
That's awesome. I had a good one. So tomorrow I actually have part 2 of my book box opening. I have $1,000 worth of books coming to my classroom, and I still don't have them all. I still don't have all the books, and I have like 50.
Did you go crazy on the Scholastic little flyer you sent home?
No. So, State of Utah said, "Hey, teachers, we know you're worried and you need help with stuff. So here's $1,000 for either PPE or a pet project." So it was like $1,000 worth of books. Woohoo! I got the Vader book and I got Dr. Aphra. That book is thick. That is like, it's heavy. It's like a 10-pound book. It's crazy.
I wasn't allowed to bring it on the plane.
Are you kidding?
I was going to bring it on the plane because of its individual weight.
Yeah?
I could not.
Jeez. That's insane.
I had to call Christy to come back and get it.
Really? Oh, man. Because there's no way you're not going to trash that sucker. But good. I'm excited. So I will stream probably. I might not stream tomorrow just because the show went long tonight, and then I'll have to do some other stuff. But I'll definitely get some GAC streaming in this week, and so that's us. That's us for this week's episode of Blabbing About Boba Fett. I'm excited for tomorrow, guys. I'm really excited. Good luck. Enjoy your individual.
I'm gonna watch it first thing once I get to the airport.
Awesome. Enjoy your individual screenings. Remember, no spoilers. Don't be that guy or gal. Like, subscribe, share this video. Check out Paul and the Nev on the Escape Podcast channel over on Twitch, and you can check them out.
Just Escape Podcast.
Oh, that's right. Escape Podcast.
Yep.
I look forward to seeing you guys next week and talking more about the Book of Boba Fett. Have a great night, guys.
And everybody remember to smile.
And stay nerdy.
Neil, push the button.